All right, welcome everyone to the Final Fantasy 1 to 13 excluding 11 relay being raced in a 1 versus 1 setting. It's going to be Team Choco versus Team Mog. And welcome everyone. It's pretty late in Europe, literally midnight right now. I believe it's a little bit earlier in America. So, yeah, welcome. Let's see. Starting, we will obviously start off with Final Fantasy 1, which is going to be played by Chrono Kirby on Team Mog and Elbod on Team Choco.
Hello. I'm Chrono.
So these are the two runners that'll be performing Final Fantasy 1 and no, actually just Final Fantasy 1 for you. But before we get to that, I actually want to do, of course, some huge shout-outs to our main organizer here, which is Mr. Maelstrom. Hello, Mr. Maelstrom, are you there?
Hi. I'm busy.
He's busy. So, I want to actually emphasize the fact that Mr. Maelstrom has almost single-handedly organized this entire event. I'm not even kidding. This guy has, yeah, he's absolutely crazy nuts. So if we can get some love for him, and if you guys can remember that name, and if you haven't already, throw the man a follow on Twitch. Obviously, he's awesome. And the marathon otherwise is organized by Sereth, Rory Extra Life, and myself as someone who obviously talks way too much. And I think this is a good moment to take it away and start the runs, or how are we doing on that?
Okay, so you guys ready to start? Okay, roll Chrono. Hello.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
ready.
I'm good.
Right. So, 3, 1, let's go.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Right now.
Okay, welcome everybody. This is Final Fantasy 1. And right from the start, we get to see the main glitch we'll be using throughout the run. As you can see, both Elbot and Chrono just bought a hammer, and we're going to dupe that into Knight's shields. Basically, what we use here is an equipment glitch. By buying the hammer and at the same time switching menu to a different character from a weapon to an armor or the other way around, we have a chance to kind of dupe the item. This glitch allows us to equip stuff to characters that couldn't normally equip it, which is a big advantage, especially with something like a white mage or a black mage. And at the same time, because that item is not normally in our inventory, we the game doesn't really know what to do with it, and because of it, it dupes the item into a different item. So we just got the knight's armor on every single character from a hammer, which allowed us to get a lot of money so that we can buy potions and Phoenix Downs, which we'll be needing later on in the run, as well as giving us some ridiculously early defense.
We're going to be using this equipment glitch pretty much everywhere. We used to use it a lot more than we do now in a lot more different places. However, over the past month or so,
month.
between myself, Cruel, Chrono, Cedillion, Elbod, we've pretty much turned the route inside out. We used to do a lot of equipment glitch. A lot of equipment glitch in a couple of places to get extra items, extra defense, extra attack earlier on in the game. But then we ended up finding out that we could completely skip entire towns by doing different bits and pieces at different places. So you'll see right away, again, both Chrono and Elbod are doing the equipment glitch a second time to get the Judgment Staff, which is something that you actually, the only time you can legitimately get it in the run is by defeating Atomus in one of the bonus dungeons. But it basically, it's an item you can attack with, and it's an item that you can cast Flare with. It has quite a high attack, so we don't, sometimes we just attack with it, but we'll see it used as an AoE attack later on.
And there goes Garland.
Nice.
That was a pretty good segment. I only got like 3 encounters, I think, which is very, very good.
Yeah, random encounters in this game, even though in this version they're not very... They don't consume very much time in this version of the game.
Depends.
There are a lot of them. Yeah.
And some of the encounters can can allow you not to run, or disallow you to run, which just wastes a lot of time throughout the run.
Like, I did get wolves there, which is generally a very bad encounter. It's very difficult to run from, but I got lucky.
There are a number of different encounters that just are tedious to escape from. Sometimes it's even faster to kill them all, which is what we do from time to time.
And some are simply
yeah.
inescapable.
There are some that actually have a flag that say that it's impossible to escape from these encounters. So for them, we just basically
we had to memorize the list basically. Which,
By the way, now that Chrono is coming up on the bridge scene, you might notice the guard in the left bottom of the screen waving much slower than the others. It's kind of an inside joke.
He's very lazy.
Every one of the guards is working incredibly hard, and then he's just standing there waving, doing just absolutely nothing.
There's no restream. Wait, they don't have game audio?
Apparently game audio is off.
Yeah, that's fixed now.
Okay.
Okay, good.
I can do commentary in French.
No.
No?
So here's another one of those.
English, so.
I could do French. I can actually do French, like if this is needed.
I don't think it's needed.
Come on.
So if you saw at Chrono just now, he encountered a single wolf target, and it took him all 4 characters to escape from it. And
did it?
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
It took your 4th character to be able to escape. And that's just one example of just an encounter that doesn't really want to let you run, and even if it's just one, it can just be very tedious to run from.
I also saved because you never know with this game.
Yeah, this game in this version of the run, it's not as much of an issue. However, it is in other versions. Encounters in general can just wipe you very easily if everything goes wrong. One of the worst situations that I've actually managed to get into once or twice is there are encounters of enemies that can kill you in one hit or can petrify you, and then getting ambushed by 5 or 6 of them.
Petrification isn't a problem.
We'll
explain later on why it's not a problem. Later on. So you're gonna see Judgment Staff here, what it's used for. I got lucky there, Thief going first before everyone.
Yeah, I'm not sure the chances of that, but that's pretty solid. That's a pretty solid
It happens often because he's pretty fast, but yeah, it's nice. And I guess go ahead and explain 15 puzzle.
So I think Chrono is going to go for 15
I'm going
puzzle.
for it,
Honestly, this is the kind of time that we need Chuck in the chat, but 15 puzzle is a mini game that's hidden in most versions of FF1, where basically it's a mini game where by pressing circle and holding X while being on the ship 20-something times lets you play 15 puzzle, which is a slider puzzle basically. Now, in this version of the game, 15 puzzle can give you all sorts of neat things. It can give you Hermes sandals, which means you can cast haste once it's a consumable item. Gives you emergency exit, which means that you get basically an instant escape from any dungeon, which is very useful up until a certain point where we will get a spell that will do the same thing. But for the early game, it's very much handy thing. It is a 1 in 6 chance. Unfortunately, Chrono didn't get it, meaning he's now lost a bit of time to
Elbard. And it's like everything else in the game frame-based. So basically, as soon as you enter a 15 puzzle, the drop is set. Based on what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, in French it is le taquin, but... Yeah, in French it is le taquin. And yeah, you have to be able to complete it consistently under a minute if you want to get a chance of getting the prize.
Yeah.
So, in the past, what we used to do, we actually would go into the town that you saw Chrono just pass, and I think Elbot just passed it as well.
Yeah, I think Elbot's gotten into a bit of a bad encounter, but so it's given Chrono a bit of a chance to catch up. But
yeah, but in the past, we used to go in there and we used to get Dragon Mail, Gold Needle, and way back we used to also get Defenders, which is a sword we would use on one of the bosses. But we found a way to get Gaia Gear, making Gold Needle completely irrelevant. And we kind of felt that skipping Dragon Mail, you only really need it for a little while, so it's not worthwhile to get it, because only one boss actually becomes safer with it, and it just wastes a lot of time to get. In addition, you can save right in front of the boss, so even if you die there, it doesn't waste a lot of time.
The only, I think
I just fixed the echo. It was my fault, actually. I apologize for the echo.
Oh.
It was my fault.
Alright, cool.
Alright, cool.
I was streaming Mike by accident. You were saying?
Yeah, the fight that has now become dangerous is the first of the Four Fiends fights. Basically, a bit of backstory about this game. You've got the 4 Warriors of Light, and they bear the four crystals, basically. 4 smaller versions of the main crystals that exist. So, the 4 Warriors of Light are journeying to basically find out what's going on with the crystals, try and fix them up, as it were. And through their journeys, they encounter several different things, such as the 4 Fiends. They also encounter another very, very familiar enemy, who, of course, we're not going to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't played, but a very familiar enemy.
Decent. Okay.
So both of the guys now are in Marsh Cave, and Marsh Cave can go incredibly quickly, or it can be incredibly horrible. I've actually managed to get paralocked here in the past, but we'll be explaining that in a bit.
Hopefully usually we won't have to explain it in real time, though.
Definitely.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not.
But at the end of the cave, we have to get the crown, which we have to bring to Astos, which we will get the Mystic Eye in return. So both of the guys just grab the crown, and they will have to make their way to Astos now. As you can see, most of them are just breezing through most of the cave. The encounter rate is pretty low, and it's not uncommon to get 0 encounters here. But encounters can troll quite a bit here.
Normally it's around 1 or 2 encounters throughout the entire dungeon in this run.
Yeah, so I did get paralyzed there, but I mean, there was no chance of a paralock since only one of the enemies could paralyze me. Or a very, very slim chance. And this is obviously PSP.
Yeah. To explain, let's go a bit more into detail with what exactly Paralock is. Paralock is it's just infuriating is the word that comes to mind when it comes to Paralock. Basically, there are many enemies in this game who, when they attack, they have a status effect aligned with them. Paralysis, poison, even death for some enemies. Petrification, I don't think pops up, but Petrification is one of the few ones that just doesn't pop up. But paralysis, death, sleep, poison. There are some enemies that when they attack, they can use, they can give you those status effects. Paralysis is a nasty one because I'm not sure the percentages exactly. However, the percentage of you being cured of paralysis during a turn is less than the percentage that their attack can inflict it. So you can potentially get into an infinite loop of not being able to do anything with any of your characters.
Okay, that was decent. Besides my thief dying. for Astos.
Yeah. So Astos is a very simple boss. It's a case of attacking and just,
hoping
killing
you
Astos.
kill him in 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And about that world record was with the old route that I estimate to be about 5 minutes slower. So, to show how much good luck was in that route, basically.
Yeah. The Astos fight is a bit dangerous in other versions of this game because of the fact that Astos can cast Death. It doesn't hit 100% of the time, but it hits quite often. And it kills one of your party members just flat out, basically. Sometimes you don't see it at all, which is always nice. But sometimes you do, and sometimes it hurts. For this run, it's not as big of a deal unless it hits either the black or white mage, because then it means that the experience grind might take a bit longer, because there is a brief experience grind later on in the run. But we'll talk more about what's happened to the experience grind over recent weeks
once we get
when
there,
we get to
because
it.
it used to be like 3 times as long.
Yeah.
Also, like the next hard boss is Lich, which is sort of a major point in the run, which is why we have a split for it, along with the other splits we have, which are... I don't know them, so if you could tell me
Kraken
them.
and the end. We only have the 3.
So, a little background on the Astos fight. In the past, like I said before, we went to Elfheim, and one of the things we got there was the Defender, and with the Defender, the Astos fight was ridiculously quick. But
it was always 1 round, basically.
Yeah,
it was never
usually
anything
1 round.
less.
Usually
However,
1.
yeah.
You could get 2 with Batman, but...
Yeah, but you'd always get a much quicker fight. But getting the Defenders, since it's the only boss we use it on, getting the Defenders was actually slower at that point than it was to just go out and kill him with the Judgment Staffs. So, despite it being a little bit slower, we decided to just skip it entirely, because in the long run, it's the faster way to do it.
And so here I'm coming up to the ship, at least like a long ship segment, so...
It really is not too long between...
Yeah, ship
getting
encounters are also
that.
like... you don't get ship encounters very often.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do diagonal?
Yeah,
Yeah, of course I'm
So-
doing diagonal.
So, what you see Chrono do there is diagonal ship movement, and it's kind of an inside joke. A while back, we kind of had the idea, or Chrono
I
had
didn't
the
get
idea
any
that...
encounters though. I got none.
that when you would go frame perfect on diagonal and you'd buffer your inputs, you wouldn't get any encounters. That was up until the moment I got an encounter when doing just that, and at that point we knew that it was completely busted. And ever since, it's kind of been an inside joke.
But it worked. It worked
perfect
that time.
Diagonal movement,
It
skipping
worked
ship
for some
encounters.
time. It worked until it stopped working, basically. So, at this point, we've collected the eye from Astos that he stole from Matoya. So we've made our way back to see Matoya, and we're going to be giving her her crystal eye back, and she'll be giving us something in return. And what it is it's the Jolt Tonic, which is basically a potion that's supposed to wake anyone up. Yeah. So the Prince of Elfheim is currently under a spell of some kind, and is asleep. So the whole point of going back and forth is to wake him up. It's basically just... I'm not a big fan of this part of the game, just because it's pretty much a long back and forth.
Yeah, this is a fetch quest.
Without much... It's a fetch quest. That's basically it.
And even then, like, even Lich has a fetch quest, sort of. Like, you have to do the dungeon twice unless you have emergency exit.
Lich has the worst fetch quest, I'll give you that. It's just pointless, but at the same time, it means that we get to appreciate the Cavern of Earth a bit more.
Oh, yeah.
Just now you might be able to see Elbert fighting a Sahagin in Big Eyes, and the reason for that is that Sahagins are incredibly difficult to run from, and the big guys can paralyze you as well, making it even more troublesome. So, especially when it's just
only ever come in like groups in 1 or 2, but it's not. The Sahagins are normally the biggest issue because they just tend to be completely just impossible to run away from at times.
Yeah, so especially when it's just a few of them, we generally try to just kill them off, because very often running away will be slower than killing them off.
Yeah.
No, we're actually both on MU. Both of us are.
Wow, you guys are pretty close together.
Oh, so we caught up?
Yeah, you've both talked to the Prince's aide within about 2 seconds of each other, I think.
Okay, so I'm ahead.
That's sub 19 Mystic Key though. I am jealous. So normally we used to go to the back of the Elfheim Castle to collect a few items that we're going to use to do some more equipment duplication and morphing. However, again, we've found that doing that just is not worth the time it takes to do. As we get, not only do we get better equipment pretty much right away, but also because of the fact that it just becomes, it's just not as useful as the other equipment that we get anyway. Because some of the other equipment that we'll be getting pretty soon involves giving us added layers of protection against certain spells. Things like ground-based spells, such as Earthquake, which is an instant death spell.
And Petrification, which is probably the more important one.
100% the more important one. By doing that, it means that we also can completely skip Elfheim entirely, as we're able to get the Gaia gear, which is to protect us from petrification before we even encounter any enemies that can petrify us.
Okay, so both of the guys just got the Nitro powder, and basically that is what this entire fetch quest was about. Because without Nitro powder, they wouldn't be able to go beyond like the little ocean they're in.
We're stuck in a sort of basin, essentially. And we need to blow up a canal to explore the rest of the world.
Yep. And as a response to chat, yes, we are gonna still get Barbarian Sword. We'll be coming up on that pretty shortly, actually.
I think skipping Barbarian Sword would just be ridiculous.
Yeah,
There's no... Barbarian Sword is an item that we're going to be creating.
It's an overpowered sword as it is, but it's essentially like a post... I wouldn't say post-game, but it comes from like the hardest boss in the game from the side dungeons, basically.
It literally is a drop.
From the hardest dungeon.
The hardest version of the hardest boss in the game from the hardest dungeon. It's basically an end game thing. 100% end game. And we get 4 of them immediately and equip them to everyone. How about that?
Yeah, we get them pretty quickly into the run, and to explain how overpowered they have 125 base attack power, which is double the next best item, basically. Which I think is Ragnarok, which has 40 or something like that. It's extremely overpowered, and on top of that 125 attack, it gives you a 15 strength boost.
Yeah, second place is
you have
weapon,
even more attack. Yeah, an ultimate weapon is I think it's based on your health. Yeah, it's based on your health, but it won't exceed 100 attack power, even with max health. And you don't get the strength boost.
The percentage of health. It's not even like it's based on your max health. It's based on the percentage of your health. So it's not, even by using items to buff up our max MP or HP. I mean, it won't make any difference.
Okay.
So now that we've blown up we've created a canal for ourselves. We're now heading to the west. Yeah, we're heading west. We're going to be approaching a small town called Melmond.
And that is probably one of the most important item in the game, if you want to do this fast. I'd say
100%. There's no, we actually go there 3 times in the run,
Yeah, this is
It's-
the most important town.
It is
But
the
I
most
mean,
important town
once
in
is
the
for
run.
this item, which is sort of sidetracking, but we want to get as early as possible. A second time is for story reasons, and a third time is for some spells that allow us to speed up things by being able to teleport outside of dungeons. Alright, what am I doing? Nope. There we go. Can be a bit tricky at times, so I don't think we talked about the technical aspect of the equipment glitch, but you essentially have to press two
equipment
buttons
glitch.
very next to each other. You have to press like RNA or LNX or RNX. I don't know how large the window is, and no one has tested this, but it's
not
tight.
very big. It's a couple of frames,
Couple of
unfortunately.
frames. It's not frame perfect because there's definitely a bit of leniency to it.
There's
but still.
leeway for sure, but it's not. It's not a very big window at all. Oh, it looks like we. Oh, nah, never mind. I was gonna say, it looked as if L-Body was about to get into a power lock situation. However, luckily he's avoided that with the Judgment Staff.
Nice. Yeah,
So-
yeah.
so-
It's sort of a risk-reward kind of thing. You have to sort of judge whether or not it's worth your time to try and run away, or if you should just go ahead and kill the encounter, even if you lose a bit of time. It's just safer.
Yeah, so very often you'll see that on big packs of ghouls and ghasts and encounters like that, we'll be trying to just kill them off with Judgment Staff, because it's very likely that if we try to run away, that we'll get locked, and that can just waste
depends.
minutes.
Like you can play it risky, or you can not play it risky, or you can save and play it risky. I mean, there's different ways of tackling it, of course.
Chrono, don't forget your Gaia gears. I just noticed you moving down instantly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for
don't.
reminding me. That I've done that once, and it can go okay, but you can start getting cockatrices.
Yeah, starting the third floor of the Cavern of Earth, cockatrices will appear, and the saddest effect that they give is petrification. Now, since we know that from the Coral Sword Chrono just picked up, we will be getting the Gaia Gears, so we don't actually need to get the gold needles anymore. So if we were to get petrified, there's no way to get rid of it anymore, up until, like, the next town you get in, which isn't gonna be for a while. So the Gaia Gears here are very important to get, and missing them can be pretty costly.
Next time you can get gold needles, it's like without doing any detours, it's on rack, which is quite far into the game. But with detours, you can pass by Elfheim at some point. Well, actually, I think we pass by Elfheim after. Wait, we do. Nah, what am I talking about?
After
We're doing Elfheim,
Cavern of
yeah.
Ice, we get pretty
Yeah.
close to Elfheim, but it's still
See, that
like
was the
that's
newest
still a very
addition.
long way away.
The most recent addition to the route is just a minor world map movement change, but it's still like it's quite major if you look at what we have to do. Because before we were doing Merilith last, even though she's supposed to be done second, and now we do her second again. It's gone full circle essentially, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, the only there's no real reason to do Marilith second, but there's also no real reason to do Marilith last either. In
Well, the
terms
reason
of
to do a
casual
second,
play.
it's like 30
Yeah.
seconds faster
It's
with world map
Overall, it's a
movement.
time save in terms of where you move on the world map, and the difference between your characters before the difference between doing her second and doing her last is quite substantial, even though there's no real difference in how the battle itself will go.
Because the reasoning behind doing her fourth is because we used to grind the thief, and he was
Yeah.
quite powerful, and we could kill her in one shot with good luck.
Yeah,
But now we don't have any chance of doing that. There's no point in doing her fourth.
yeah.
And there was Vampire. Quite easy.
Yeah.
You can see we're completely
Yeah,
overpowered. We're not
Vampire
supposed to do
is
that.
basically
Yeah, Vampire, is a
Vampire
very
because of the
simple fight.
Barbarian Sword. It's basically a one-shot.
And that's where you
Now-
can start to see the power of the barbarian swords that we've given everyone. At this point, if Chrono was successful in using the emergency exit, this is the best part of the run to use the emergency exit. There are other
Now,
places where some
it
people
is the
think
best part.
It-
I
now
think
it
it
is
still
the
is.
best part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
there's
used to
nothing
not
nowhere
get exit. No wait, we used to not get teleport, which allows us to essentially exit out of dungeons, basically.
Yeah.
But before then, like, we could have used emergency exits in a couple of spots. So we could have gone with a couple more, but the chances of getting multiple ones in a run is quite slim. And it's not really worth your time to try that in a run. Because like a 1 out of 6 chance is already pretty slim, but if you get 2 of them in a run, that's a 1 out of 36. And that's definitely not something you want to grind out.
So Elbot just came up on a Pisco Demon Encounters, and you may have remembered that as the boss that was just before we picked up the crown. And the Pisco Demons is the first of a couple of encounters that we just cannot run from. You can try whatever you want, you're never going to succeed at it. So
And-
when encountering, we already know that we have to kill it off.
I might be in a bad situation, and I'm not. Thankfully, I had to kill these just because I was risking Paralock, but
I've always found that Wraiths are a lot harder to get paralyzed by than Ghasts or any of the other zombie characters.
Yeah. I don't know, usually after one turn of trying to run it, I just get discouraged and try to just kill them off. I just, you know. And then I have to fight this one. Yeah, it seems like we're still pretty close together, which is nice.
Yeah.
This game can really create like huge divides, or even like complete changing of who's in front or who's in last with really just any dungeon, just because of how many encounters you can or can't get.
You
The
may
encounter
also
rate can be ridiculous at sometimes.
You may have noticed that Elbot fought 3 Pisco Demons just now with the sword, while Chrono did it with the Judgment Staff, and it's really a personal preference. At 3 is
At
basically
3,
the turning point.
Equal. It depends on how much menuing you have to do. That's really the thing you have to factor. If you're already on Judgment Staff with everybody, at 3 it's worth it to just Judgment Staff, and if you're already on attack with everybody, you should attack.
But if it's more than 3, you generally want to go with Judgment Staff. If it's
Yeah.
less than 3, you generally want to go with just regularly attacking.
Okay, I'm out of Cavern of Earth. Which is, I'm getting average luck, to be honest, over the whole round, if I'm gonna comment on that. And shadows are interesting because you can only get a preemptive or an ambush on these guys. And you usually get a preemptive, which is nice.
Yeah, it's not looking. Your times aren't looking too bad at all. Have you got life split running at the same time?
Me? No. I'm not using splits at all.
Okay.
Oof. Oh my, I got so lucky there.
Yeah.
I got so
that was-
lucky there.
That was risky trying to flee from that, I think. But well played.
Wow, that paid off, but
Yeah.
So Chrono there got off really well of an almost paralock.
So lucky.
With 3 of his characters paralyzed. If the 4th one had been paralyzed, you just can't do anything. You can't try to run, you can't Judgment Staff, which is the way you would normally want to kill them. So you just have to sit there and hope somebody breaks out of the paralysis. And that can take anywhere from a turn
to infinite. And you
to
can
pretty
die.
much infinite.
You can die from 1 damage, Pex,
Yeah.
basically. Like, the most it's ever taken me is like 4 minutes. Like, you usually get out eventually.
And you usually get out within like 2-ish minutes, but it can take a lot longer if you get unlucky.
But yeah, I'm glad I got out of that. I don't know, like 6 is sort of... I sort of got unlucky too, because 6, the chance of 6 guys paralyzing 3 of your members in 1 turn is sort of...
It's pretty much.
It's quite yeah, it's bad.
If I was a betting man, I would put a bet on that.
I needed to
Nice.
win the lottery. But yeah, I got bad luck and then good luck, so it's okay.
Your luck's been
Grab that.
pretty good.
Yeah, I
what's
can't
your, what's your
complain.
PB
Like, I'm getting
ledge
good luck.
split?
PB Ledge, I don't know. I think it's like 37 something. I have no idea what the time is, to be honest.
Oh, I'm not
I'm
telling
not
you.
even. Thanks.
We'll keep you in the dark. Those are the runs that are better. The runs where you don't know where you are. That's what, like, at least my personal preference. Sometimes is just black out all my splits. Don't let me see any of them. Otherwise, I'll look at them and realize where I am, and it's just. They were good.
Okay, so a quick heads up to both of the runners, as both of them are closing in on Lich quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'm sure they know, but do make sure to save, because Lich is one of the few bosses we can actually still die to. It's
Yeah,
incredibly
it's a funny
unlucky.
story. It's a funny story, but I pretty much I found out by the hard way that you can die to Lich. And a race
Yeah.
I didn't save because we never saved for Lich, because you couldn't die for Lich in the old route, and then we skipped Dragon's Mail, which gave us less elemental protection up to a bit later in the game when we get ribbons. But up until that you get ribbons, you have low elemental defense. So Lich
And
can one-shot
there's a
you
number
with
of
Blizzara.
enemies that will exploit that throughout the run, but of course, we're playing it safe today. We're saving everywhere.
I saved before Cavern of Earth. I might save after getting down to the lower floors just because of Paralock, you know, but I'm still considering that. It doesn't take too long to save in this game, which is good, which is nice. And soft lux, it sadly can be a thing. That can
But-
happen. So
But the emulator
It
crashing
shouldn't.
is a thing.
it shouldn't happen to either of us, but it can.
Yeah.
It shouldn't, but there is a possibility for it
Come
to
on.
happen.
Oh my! Again? What? Oh my god! The same situation I had earlier happened again. I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky.
You need
Once
to
again,
stop
you got-
getting into that situation.
Yeah, I do.
So these cockatrice encounters that you see Chrono at, in the past they kind of
yeah.
used to be a problem.
This used to be
Especially if they were
scary.
like they used to be pretty scary, especially with packs of like 9 of them.
Now I'd say cockatrices are a good encounter because they don't do that much damage and you can run pretty easily from them.
But in the
I should
past they
have
could
probably attacked there, but oh well.
in the past we used to kind of have to risk the petrification if we wanted to run, or just hope we could kill before they would petrify everyone.
Well, the thing is
But-
that we used to buy golden needles to be able to heal it after battle, but the problem is that if you get 4 characters petrified during the course of one battle, there's not much you can do about it.
There's not a thing
As-
you can do about it. That's just it.
As for PBs, my
unfortunately.
PB is, I don't even know what my PB is offhand. It's like something like a 148, I think. I don't know what
It's
Elbot's PB
sub
is.
2.
I think it's one. Yeah, I think Elbot's a 141. I got a 148. But yeah, the Final Fantasy Speedrunner 3 is a great place for all PBs of all kinds, and it's also on speedrun.com. There's a leaderboard there that I moderate along with Cool and Rory. Oops.
Yeah, to anyone like if anyone wants to like try out speedrunning a Final Fantasy, this is probably a really good one to start
This
on because
is a
it's-
game that can be learned in like 4 hours. It's
Yeah.
a very simple game to learn.
It's a very short run. You just really, the only issue is just trying to get into the hang of, or into the swing of things in terms of performing the equipment glitch. But once you're able to do that,
That doesn't even
You
take
know.
that long to learn.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very simple. It takes a while to get used to the menu, but I mean that just menuing skill, and you know menus are bad when you're learning a game, obviously.
menus are
That's-
always bad.
It depends on the person. I don't know.
Mhm.
But menus aren't. This game is just RNG. Man. If anyone tells you otherwise, they're lying. This game is RNG. Like, that's really all that matters. It's just encounters and
Yeah,
encounters and boss.
you can lose like half a minute or something on menuing and still get a very good time
Okay.
just by getting lucky enough.
Yeah, I mean the equipment glitch in itself is easy, but it's doing it fast and in a menu that's hard.
Yeah.
So you may have noticed that Chrono did not heal up before Lich. That's kind of a runner's preference.
Bad preference. I'll give him that.
But
I got lucky. That's part of the RNG minute, so.
Lich,
Also split for Lich. Split.
but Lich is a boss that
He can one shot.
you
I was
can
naive.
kill him before he even gets an
Yeah.
attack off. And you're
Yeah.
just fine.
You can, yeah.
Uh,
But
he
it's
can-
rare. Half of the
Yeah,
time, maybe.
it's pretty rare. He can just regularly attack, in which case it does 1 damage. You're completely fine. And he has Blizzara, and that can, even from full health, that has a chance of just completely wiping your party instantly.
It depends because your levels can vary because of the extra enemies that you choose to kill, basically. And if your
Yeah.
level is a bit on the higher side and you're at full health and you healed Blizzard, and if Blizzard does low damage, then you can, you know.
Yeah,
survive.
you can survive it.
Surviving Blizzard is rare. And usually Blizzard means reset.
Yeah.
For the boss at least, if you're in a race.
So you
So
also
the
if you're
may-
little cutscene that's happening here, for anyone wondering, this is basically saying that this dungeon's been unlocked now. This is it's just showing that Earthgift Shrine can be visited now. It's a bonus dungeon. We don't go to any of the bonus dungeons in the any percent
And
realm.
any percent. However, there
In
is a
all
category
bosses.
called L bosses in which we defeat all of the side bosses, which is a lot more hefty to learn.
It's so much fun though. It's
fun.
It's so fun.
And as you can
It-
see, previously in Melmond, I moved the ship down one tile.
That's a
Oh,
very,
God.
very minor optimization that
We're
Chrono has been
talking-
talking about. We're talking like
couple of
0.5
frames
seconds.
kind of yeah, like handful of frames optimized, but still, technically speaking,
It's faster.
an optimization.
I'd say this game has gone from like 40% optimized to 80. 80%.
His RNG is too powerful of a
I mean,
force,
in
think.
terms of like what route changes we can bring to the table. That's what I'm talking
In
about.
terms of route changes, like there has to be some insane glitches found.
Wrong
For
word.
there needs to be a wrong walk found at this point.
Well, I mean, the only possibility is that because of the equipment glitch, we can sometimes have non-shields in the shield slot, which causes the game to bring up weird IDs when it's trying to block. Because whenever you block, it brings up the ID value for the shield's animation, because each shield has a different animation when you block. But since we're having we're not having the correct type of armor on our shield slot, we can have the game bring up weird ideas that it's not supposed to bring up. And that can sometimes soft lock the game, thankfully not with any of the items that we're using in the room.
Oh man,
So-
if any of the items that we were really wanting were
Well,
able
we
to
just
soft
wouldn't
lock,
put
then
them.
we'd be...
We wouldn't put them in the shield slot then.
Yeah.
That's really all you have to do to avoid the glitch. And that's like the only possibility of having something great game breaking, basically.
So Chrono
be.
is about to come up on Crescent Lake, and this is really where the new part of the route comes in. Up to like, let's say 3 weeks ago, the route compared to about 3 weeks ago was pretty similar to this point. But after this, there'll be a lot of changes. First of all, we get the ethers in Crescent Lake, which we would normally get much, much further in the game. We used to get, I think it was an armor, but correct me if I'm wrong, through the equipment glitch here.
We used to get
We used to
black
what was it?
garbs, was it?
No,
I think it was black,
We
or
used
black,
to-
yeah, it was black robes even.
Yeah, we used to get those. That was a while ago.
That's
Then we
been
just skipped those because we didn't need them. But yeah.
and then we
But
would
to
go
answer
get,
Kawai's question, this game has frame-based RNG, which is basically
Elbot just
advances
came on.
once a frame.
Yeah.
Okay, you
I
can
got it.
split for Elbot's
Yep.
Lich, by the way. He just
Done it.
killed Lich.
Ooh. Okay, this is this is a runnable encounter. There's a variation on that encounter that is unrunnable, but it's not appearing. It doesn't appear yet.
No, you'll be seeing it appear later on.
Later.
So Chrono is currently headed towards the ice cavern. There is a plethora
So,
of
if I
encounters
may
in this
ask,
dungeon.
what time did I get for Lich?
3703.
Okay, that's not that bad. That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
I think that's
Anything
PB.
sub 40 is good.
I think that's like a minute ahead of my PB.
Are your splits on IO?
Yeah, I think so.
Let me have a look.
Okay, so
It's the beginning.
Chrono is coming up on Cavern of Ice, and that is probably the most annoying cave in this entire run.
It's the worst cave. No doubt about that. It's not that bad, but I mean, you can get. I'm gonna be saving often just because you can get an ambush that will wipe your party. There's several that will wipe your party. For example, there's like a 1 out of 256 encounter that is a white dragon, which is very, very powerful for this part of the game. A bit less since our equipment, but he does like a massive AoE elemental attack, which we cannot survive.
Yeah, we'll be encountering that same white dragon a little bit more often
Later, much
near,
later.
near the end of the run.
Yeah. At
And
which point we won't even care. It doesn't matter. At
No,
that point.
although they can still kill you, as I
Well, the thing, yeah,
personally found out the hard way.
you can't run from them still, not because they're inescapable, just because they're kind of a pain to run from.
Yeah, but if you get an ambush of 4 of them, they can still, even then, still kill you, even though you're completely overpowered at that point.
Ice strike.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
You also have 0 protection from Mind Flayers, I'd like to remind everyone. Mind Flayers, we were talking earlier about how enemies, when they attack, normally have the potential to hit with a side effect. Mind Flayers are, in my opinion, the worst. They're one of the only enemies that has the side effect of instantly killing your party member.
And it's not elemental at all. You just
It
drop them.
happens.
And there's also a ton of enemies that aren't dangerous but are still annoying, like Pisco Demons. I've found a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Pisco
You've
Demons.
got quite a lot. This is your second encounter and you've had 2.
And I'm not that far into the cave. I'm getting. It's not
There's
the best.
a lot more opportunity. For more
There's a
of
lot
them.
more cave. A lot more
Yeah.
cave. And oh my god.
Yeah, and the Pisco Demons, they're again, they're one of those encounters you just can't run from. You can get a lot of them in this cave. I think we've gone up to almost 30 on just the first floor at one point in our race.
Oh yeah. We've done so many races that we've seen everything. I think we've seen everything.
Yeah.
Especially with all the route changes we've had.
Yeah.
Oops.
So Elbot has just gotten the canoe. The canoe, he's actually retrieved that from the 12 sages, who basically the people who've prophesied that the Warriors of Light are gonna turn up and help save the world. And to help you out, they give you the canoe, which means that you're able to get to some places you weren't able to get to before. The only prerequisite they have is that you have to beat Lich, unfortunately. We were teasing around with the idea of actually doing Lich last, because it meant that the back and forth quest would be amazingly quick.
Also, as the center, I just got lucky and unlucky at the same time. I got ambushed by a very, very bad encounter, but I
But you
survived.
survived, yeah.
And
was just
running
about
away
to
would
say.
have been suicide. Running away would have been a terrible idea there. I would have gone Paralock, most likely.
So, well, no, you've still got a little bit of time. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna be arriving in front of the spike tiles if that's what you want to talk about.
Yeah. I'll talk about just generally what spike tiles are, because this will be the first major encounter with them. There are some tiles in this game where when you land on them, you immediately enter an encounter. There's nothing you can do to prevent the encounter. There's nothing. Some of the encounters are inescapable, although a handful of them are escapable, which
But
is
the
nice.
encounter itself is random. Like,
The
it'll
encounter itself
follow
is
its
always
seed.
random. Yeah.
Like, it'll be like the same types of enemies, but it'll be still random.
Yeah,
And it can be an
sometimes-
ambush or preemptive. That's another thing.
Sometimes it can be a specific enemy, like the tile in front of the crown when we fought Pisca Demons earlier. Sometimes it's just a group of enemies. In this instance, it's just generally undead enemies. So it means that we're able to run away from it.
And I
if
got a
we get lucky.
preemptive, which is very lucky.
Nice.
And these are damage tiles. Well, I might as well talk about it. We're going to be granting 2 of our characters only, so Black Mage and White Mage, so we need to kill off the other 2 characters. So we're going to boost their health a little bit, but not too much so that they're still useful in battle, so they can run away and stuff.
Yeah, these damage tiles have unique properties. Every time you make a step, they damage one of your characters. At the same time, you can't actually get into encounters on these tiles at all. There's
And
no
that's going to
way.
be important for a dungeon. Actually, the next dungeon, I guess, is very important because it's Mount Gold.
We've got Citadel to go to first.
Oh yeah, that's right. But the next major
the
dungeon.
next of the 4
Story
crystals
dungeon
that we'll grab,
basically, yeah.
is mainly populated by damage tiles, so it's very nice and easy.
Very nice. And if you navigate it well, you should only get a handful of encounters over the whole dungeon.
So by getting his health as low as it is, Chrono just tried to get his health to a point where he would most likely have his characters killed by Thundara from the next boss fight.
Well, yeah,
Ooh.
mini boss, I guess. I'm
Yeah, it's
actually
a-
gonna be there soon.
I think Chrono's stream's frozen.
Yeah, it's frozen for me as well.
Yeah, it's frozen on the stream as well. Is your stream running, Chrono?
It just stopped
Yeah,
for some reason.
We just dropped the connection to it for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's saying that I'm not connected. For some
Okay.
reason. I don't know why.
All right.
Oh, yeah, I'm not getting any connection at all.
That's weird because
Mhm.
it's not the Twitch.
Yeah,
Thing.
like it's not even connected to the server. I'm not even getting a signal, but I'm still obviously being. My internet is fine. I don't know what's
Can
going
you
on.
just like cut the stream and restart it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually close OBS. And then
Okay.
open.
Sure. So yeah, we're working on getting it back, guys. Don't panic.
So so for now we'll talk about Elbod.
I'm not connecting at all.
Oh God. Well,
Try a different stream key. Just put like a 2 at the end. Like.
It should be a capital C.
So
Oh.
Elbot in the meantime.
Okay, I'm
is-
connected. I'm connected. I'm showing.
is
a
it the same
connection.
stream
Okay.
key you're connected?
No,
with?
No,
it's
it's capital
capital
C. It's
C.
fine. We got it.
Okay,
Okay.
got it.
Yeah, we're back. We're good.
I lost
So
a
in the
bit of time,
meantime, Elbot is getting his health low, and you may see that Elbot's got his health a little bit lower than what Chrono did.
and I just killed Evil Eye, so I'm gonna start grinding now.
So
yeah.
the reason you want it to be as low as possible, you want to be able to kill off the enemies, or you want to get those characters killed off as quickly as possible, while at the same time not taking as much of a risk. It's kind of trying to balance between the two.
You want to die when you prefer to die, I think is the best way to put it. We want 2 of the characters to be dead throughout the Evil Eye fights, because then it means that the experience that those 2 characters are getting is then distributed across the alive characters. Evil Eye is our preferred grinding tool for every single one of the FF1 runs.
There's no possible grind that can be better because you can get the fight extremely quickly, and it gives a lot of experience.
The fight's on a spiked tile, meaning we can repeat it over and over again. It
Yeah.
dies in one hit. It gives a lot of experience and a lot of gil. There's no negatives.
And so we're going to be going all the way to level 19, which shouldn't take that long. We used to grind to level 33, but on one character, which
Yeah.
took 6 minutes.
We discovered recently that there was an item that we could use the equipment glitch to generate, which basically increases the intelligence of the white mage. to
Whilst
max.
also giving regen, 10% regen
also
every turn
giving
to all the other
regen.
characters.
It basically meant that we didn't need to have something as powerful as Hilaga. We could actually get away with only using Hilara, which takes a significantly lower amount of levels.
Well, the
Therefore-
funny story about this route
Yeah.
change is that we started routing all bosses, in which we obviously opted for class changes. And then
Yes.
we started brainstorming about whether or not class changes would be
We also
any
tried,
faster for any
yeah.
percent.
We also tried to
And-
think, are there any items that would actually be useful for the all bosses run? And we thought, oh well, we can get this, which gives us regen, which
Yeah.
would be helpful on the harder bosses.
So the 2 major things that are nice about upgrading classes is 1, teleport, which allows you to get out of dungeons faster.
Mm-hmm.
And after teleport, you have you do a bit more damage. And 2, we reduce the grinding by using Halara.
We
Instead of the
reduced
class
the
change.
grinding by it was
4 minutes.
before we used to start off by grinding the white mage to 33 and the thief to at least 28.
And
We
then
then
that went
realized
to
that we could
not-
actually
no
ignore
thief
the
grinding.
thief by just using a handful of items like giant's gloves and everything to buff the thief up to basically the same level in in half the time that we would take to grind, basically. And then we discovered the whole idea of only needing Hilara, and we ended up then replacing the red mage with a black mage, and that's where we've gotten to at this
For
point.
teleport.
Yeah.
Of course.
We at first speculated that we wouldn't even need a black mage at all, that we could actually just get away with a white mage and maybe 2 thieves even to double our damage output. However, the exit spell that the white mage gets, you get it at level 6 magic, so it would take... I
Longer.
think, what level is it that we hit level 6 for white mages? Like 22, I think? 23?
Yeah, it would be slower. It'd be slower.
But it would take much longer in terms of the grind, so we managed to cut it down to 2 characters, getting to a much lower level, and then everything else just falls into place, really.
And I'm being super cautious in this cave because Dark Wizards and White can scare me. Those are the 2 encounters that will kill you with bad luck.
Yeah, I also saw that you got into a Mind Flayer encounter.
I just
that's
killed
the
that.
enemy.
Just killed
Yeah,
that.
you killed it, but yeah.
That can be bad. That can be very, very bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I got Pisco Demons, which is, it's okay, because at least you don't have to make a decision, you know.
I think
no,
you're
I just
both-
have to kill that.
I think you're both pretty tied actually at the moment.
Yeah, because of stream issues, which is, I guess it equalizes a bit. Let's look at the bright side of things. Made the race more interesting, but... Okay, I'm out.
Nice. I think Elbot is about. I think he's stuck in a Pisco Demon encounter at the moment, but he's. Oh, he's right next to the stairs. Yeah, so he's about 10 seconds
be.
behind you. 50. Well, yeah.
Okay, this is interesting then.
You guys are close. You guys are really
Yeah.
close. You were quite a distance at one point, but now you guys are. I think he's had a much better ice cavern than you have.
Yeah, I just
In
got
terms
a
of
lot of
encounters.
encounters and I had to kill stuff near the end too.
Yeah. So our next stop is the Citadel. This is
Citadel
notorious for being
Trials.
my 100% least favorite dungeon in the world. However,
And like, there's sort of like a paradoxical thing here because you'd think that getting the airship and not getting any encounters would be faster, but after numerous tests, ship is faster to go to Citadel, even if you have to go back to airship.
we could
Yeah.
pick up the airship here, which is great. When you're on the airship, you
Yeah,
can't get encounters.
I'm right
you
next.
can land.
I'm right next to where I could pick up
Yeah.
the airship.
However,
Yeah, so when testing this out, because I timed this several times, because you have to walk a huge amount of land from where you land the airship, when testing it out several times, every single time, it turned out that the ship was always slightly faster, because you get less encounters on the sea than you get in that piece of land that you have to pass through. So because of that, even though it seems very counterintuitive, it turns out that ship is faster than airship.
just for another reference, the back before we actually made these major skips and these major
Route changes
and these major
and
route changes.
overhauls. I'd even call it that. It's
The,
definitely completely different.
Yeah, we actually thought that finishing the grind at a sub 1 hour pace was actually good.
Decent. But now it's finishing Citadel at sub 1, which is sort of shows what we've done. We've essentially replaced grinding with going to the Citadel, which has better advantages than a higher level Wisdom 2,
Yeah.
which is what we've done.
We've basically managed to get to the same overall level, or we've managed to get to the same point in the run by getting to the airship around the same time as the old route used to, and still having a bigger advantage because of the fact that we'll now have teleport. We won't actually have to spend as much MP on Hidalara. It's just overall just been a pretty good month for PSP.
I mean, this all started because I had to practice, and so we started doing races because I wanted to practice with people. And so racing is a great way to just try and think of something on the spur of the moment to try and catch up. Like, I think we skipped Thief Armlets, which was the item you could get in Elfheim, or Elfheim Castle, just because I was behind by like 40 seconds. Decided to skip it because I would catch up that way, and that's how some of the route changes came about. it's just fun how some of these come about, and it happens so fast too.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing. Especially I think Lunafist started running this game like quite a few years back, and the route hadn't changed since then until like last month.
And then in 1 month time, it's like completely changed. And because of the less grinding, the grinding not only is, or the skipping of the grinding is not only slightly faster, it also makes it a lot more enjoyable to run. Because when I started running this game, we had to grind the thief to 28, which is one of the things we skipped. We grinded White Mage to level 33, and it just took forever. And now you've seen it in this run. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes to just grind everything, and we're completely done with it. So the healing staff that Elbot just picked up, we'll be using that later on to get the
Lordly Robes.
The Lordly Robes, which will give us regen, which is a nice boost, as well as a huge magic boost, because of which the power of the Healara spell will actually be of similar strength of what we would normally use for Healaga, just because of that additional magic boost we get from it as well.
Cerise pulled ahead through the magic of FF1.
There's also the Lordly Robes. When they're equipped in the chest slot, they give you a 10% regen. Initially, we were hoping that the regen would actually apply to all equipment slots. We then quickly discovered that
it's a flag based on whether or not it's in your armor slot, basically. It's just the game checks, is this in your armor slot or not? If yes, then you get regen. If no, you don't.
The plan was originally to actually completely remove the use of a White Mage, because it would then just you get 40% of your health back every time. So you could just use the healing stuff as a healing stuff, and that was it.
It would free up an extra slot for a thief, or basically a ninja, since we're gonna upgrade classes. And you'd also do less grinding. And we only get the healing staff here, besides, we get an item near the exit, though.
Yeah, don't forget that, by the way.
What's it called again? Oh, it's the one you have to get.
Gauntlet as well. Gauntlet's a bit of a nice thing to grab.
Does that transform into?
Golden Staff. It increases intelligence by 20.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow. Oh my god, when did you last save?
Near the end of Ice Cavern. But I'm good. Somehow. I don't know.
My god. Mate, stop giving me a heart attack.
Do make sure to save often.
I'm gonna save right now, actually.
I was gonna say, please. Not just for your sake, but for my sake as well.
oh my god, if that would have, oh man, I don't know.
It would have cost you 5 to 10 minutes right there.
And I'm already behind. I'm not getting good luck. Not at all at this point. That one-step encounter.
So earlier on in Ice Cavern, both of the guys picked up some cube-shaped crystal, and that's actually what we use here to get the airship.
It's already there? Oh my god.
So Elbot's just collected the airship. In every other version of this game, the cutscene where you get the airship is actually unskippable, but in this version, those cutscenes are skippable, which is great. So he is currently going on a back and forth quest a little bit again, where basically... Oh, he class changes before Mara. Okay, that's cool.
You're not supposed to do that.
Aye.
That's actually a mistake in the notes that hasn't been fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I should have fixed that by now. That's on me.
But we can talk about the class change a little bit now, which is good. Basically, by presenting this trophy of conquering the Citadel in the form of the tail of a rat, which I think's really weird, but by doing this, Bahamut has basically said, "You 4 warriors of light are very brave, and for that I will bestow upon you titles befitting of your valor," and gives you an upgrade. He lets the warrior turn into a knight, which gives him the bonus of being able to cast basic white magic spells as well as being
Which
a
is
warrior.
not relevant in this run.
Not relevant in this run. He gives the thief the
Well,
upgrade
actually,
into the
Mog is
ninja.
ahead. Mog is slightly behind.
Yeah, Mog's behind.
Yeah, by 30 seconds to a minute.
The ninja can cast certain black magic spells, including Temper and Haste, which is very handy in certain parts of the run. He also upgrades the black and white mages into the black and white wizards, meaning they would actually be able to cast another set of items. Or not another set of items, what am I talking about? Another set of spells. Teleport, red wizards will be able to learn life, but things like teleport's a big one, exit's a big one. Generally, giving you a bigger range of spells to cast, including the big one being teleport, which I've mentioned a couple of times now. We can use this to escape from certain dungeons that we would not have been able to escape from before, and in doing this, we're actually able to get a massive time advantage over the previous route. Now, the back and forth quest is happening a bit later for Chrono because he's entering Mount Gold. This is where the second of the 4 fiends lives, and that's Marilith.
And as you can see, I'm trying to walk on the most lava tiles as possible, just because this reduces encounters, because I cannot get, well, I shouldn't get encounters on damaged tiles, and you can't, but, you know, sometimes you get encounters on those 1 or 2 non-damaged tiles.
There's a significantly lower amount of non-damaged tiles in this area, which is just through this dungeon much quicker. Meanwhile,
Yeah,
Elbot
I
is
should only get-
currently grabbing the Oxyale, which is a
Okay,
key
yeah, he's
item
doing doing things a bit unconventional, but
think
then
he's
again,
doing
this route
things-
is.
I have a feeling
a
he's
slightly-
doing Marilith last.
Oh yeah, I think he's doing
Yeah,
an older route.
he's
No, he's doing old new
a slightly older route.
Slightly
The,
outdated.
Yeah, the change of doing Marilith
It's 30
early,
seconds.
which,
It's really a movement change. It's
yeah,
really that's it.
it's a minor optimization that Chrono found quite recently, because of which they haven't been added into the notes that we've kind of been spreading around the entire group with all these route changes.
It's gone a bit convoluted with all this stuff that's going on.
So he's obtained the Oxyale, which enables him to breathe underwater, which is very necessary for one of the temples we're going to visit. Meanwhile, Chrono is just making a safety save, thank God, before fighting Marilith. Now, Marilith isn't normally that bad.
Meredith can't kill me. It's
Nah.
just, you know, making a save in case something happens with the rope map or something. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm pretty much confirmed that Elbot is killing Marilith last in this run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, Fyra. I didn't know she could do that. That's dangerous, but I didn't know.
And Faraga.
Yeah, Faragu would probably have killed me.
Yeah.
That's what we
So,
That's Marilith
Wait.
dead.
way back in the day, we used to do her last because we had a chance of one-shotting her if we got a critical with a thief. It wasn't very likely, but it quite often happened that you would just one-shot her. But since we don't grind the thief as much anymore, we don't have that chance, so there's no point in doing her last anymore.
Meanwhile, Elbody has entered the waterfall cave. This is
Did he
renowned.
get teleport at least?
What?
Did he get teleport?
Yeah, he got teleported.
Okay, good.
This is just awful. Nightmares are literally every other encounter, and they're very difficult to run away
Waterfall
from.
cave is the worst cave, which makes teleporting out of it nice.
Yeah,
Very nice.
the fact that
And-
we're able to teleport is a blessing when it comes to this run now. It's just so good.
The nightmares, you can actually run from them. You'll see that Elbot just kills them off, all of them. Most of the runners will do that. There is a small chance of running from them, but
it's better usually because it usually
Yeah.
takes at least 2 turns to run. At which point it's just faster to attack.
Yeah, and since there's only ever going to be 1 or 2 nightmares, it's generally pretty quick to kill them off. So in the long run, it usually pays off to just kill them off, all of them, instead of just trying to run every time.
Also, one thing to mention is that Chrono just picked up Haste. Haste is a very, very powerful spell in this run. It basically means that you're able to double the amount of damage that you do with a single attack. Because
Oh my god.
damage is calculated by the amount of hits that the character does, which is... It multiplies the amount of hits by a base amount of attack. And by using Haste, it doubles the amount of attacks, or the amount of hits that you do, effectively doubling your damage. It's very, very powerful. It's highly recommended for anyone playing FF1. It's just
Yeah, so
ridiculous.
routes have diverged quite a bit, and I'm just getting the last grades now.
Elbod is heading towards
Like
the
we're not basically until the final dungeon. We're not gonna be doing the same thing at this point.
yeah.
Once we both enter the final dungeon, we'll be able to see who's ahead again.
Right.
Basically.
We're gonna try and we're gonna try and commentate on this. So here, Elbod is about to go onto a spiked tile. We can't avoid this one, but before this used to be a very dangerous encounter purely because of the potential for petrification. It could just theoretically everyone could get completely and utterly destroyed by petrify, but we've of course removed all of the petrification risk. But while we're in here, we're going to talk to the robot that's here, and we are going to get the warp cube, which enables us to get into a dungeon later on in the game. We're also going to get the ribbon, which is a very, very important item. You're probably going to actually see the ribbon pop up many times during the course of this marathon, because it is a staple item of the Final Fantasy series. Generically, it protects against every status effect, and it also has pretty high magical defense as well. So, now that we have the ribbon, it's going to get duplicated back and forth so that everyone gets at least 1 ribbon.
Yeah, that's the longest menu in the game right there. That's the final equipment.
Yeah.
We're not gonna change
So-
equipment after that normally.
You'll be seeing that Elbot is equipping the ribbon on the shield slot, and the animation for the ribbon as a shield is a sword. So we know by definition that it's not going to soft lock the game because it's always going to give a sword animation. Which is why it's always safe to equip a ribbon on a shield slot, even though it's obviously not a shield.
It actually uses just the attacking animation, like for what you've got equipped currently. It's quite funny actually. I do quite like it.
Well, you can't do items, but you can, if you convert, for example, a weapon into an armor, then you can convert that armor back into a weapon. So that's how we dupe ribbons, basically. We get one, we convert it to a Gigantax, then we convert that weapon into a ribbon.
The way that the equipment glitch works actually is it's quite simple really. The items that you can equip is based off of index values. It loads up the list of items that you've got that you're able to equip, and that's basically it. But when you switch targets and therefore switch what items or what item slot you're equipping to, the index items or the index numbers remain the same. But when it goes over to the other item slot, the index numbers remain the same, so you can actually equip items based on an index number for something that you've already got, or for an index number for something else. Therefore, meaning that you can equip items that you don't even have. So, and because the game isn't actually able to comprehend what you're doing. It just gives you the item and says, you know what? There you go. I can't be bothered dealing with this. So, Elbot has currently entered the Sunken Shrine. We make not so much two trips, but we go to 2 different places in the shrine during this trip. We go to the Mermaid Colony first, which is where we will meet no one. There are mermaids that you can talk to, but obviously we have no real reason to talk to them. But we're gonna go to their homes basically, and we're gonna kidnap the Rosetta Stone, which is a quest item that we're gonna need a lot more, or we're gonna need later on. While I was saying all of that, Elbot actually just beat an encounter full of ghosts, which is pretty much the next inescapable encounter that we've encountered in the run.
The Sunken Shrine has several encounters in there which
Many.
you can't escape from.
It's the
Much like the
worst.
Pisco Demons earlier, there's the ghosts that you just saw, and there's also a combination of Sahagins and I think Sahagin Princess.
It's
a
Prince and
9
Chief combination, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a 9 encounter combination. It's always going to be. I think it's always
It's
attack at
either
9.
8 or 9. I think it's never less than 8, but it's always going to be just
I've usually
ridiculous
seen
regardless.
9 with 1 to 2 princes basically.
Hmm.
That's usually what you get. Either way, it's unwinnable and you have to judgment staff.
There's also water elementals, which is
Only
another
alone.
case of just. Blech. It's just the amount of inescapables in this dungeon is ridiculous. There's
Yeah.
only one dungeon that's worse, in my opinion, and that's the Chaos Shrine for inescapables, because you get basically all of the encounters from every single dungeon throughout the Chaos Shrine, and it's pretty bad.
So, in the past, what we used to do in Sunken Shrine was we had to get the Rosetta Stone, and because we didn't have teleport, we had to walk all the way back. However, now that we have the teleport after Rosetta Stone, you can just warp back a floor, and we do that twice, and it just saves a whole lot of moving around on or inside the shrine itself, which is one of the minor time saves we get only because we do the class upgrades.
Oh,
I
Oop,
just think
Chrono
Chrono is down
again.
again.
Chrono.
Can you still hear me or not?
Yeah, we can.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's-
Elbot
good
just
thing I
got one of
saved.
those.
Good thing I saved.
So
Oh,
I
you
haven't-
crashed. Is that what's happened?
My graphics card just crashed, but I saved.
Ah. Was it any
Oh.
time around where that happened?
Yeah, I
Also,
saved
all
it.
those all.
I saw
Right
him
before it
save
happened.
Just before.
Right before it happened, so we're
Oh.
good. We're
Nice.
good.
Okay, so no.
My graphics card crashed. Oh my god.
Yeah, so
That's-
the emulator has a tendency, very rarely, but it's to happen every now and then, that it just crashes.
Yeah.
It happened during a couple of the races, actually killing off a run. I think it happened to me during the All Bosses race, which we were doing, which we mentioned earlier, where we also did all of the bonus dungeons.
Yeah.
It's very annoying when it happens. Luckily, he had saved literally 5
yeah.
seconds before, so nothing bad happened.
No.
But it
So there
can
we
kill
actually
him.
saw the Sahagin Prince and Chief encounter on Elbot's screen. And again, there it is. It's 100% the worst. My least favorite encounter in the game. Especially because generally they tend, at least in this route, they tend to be faster than your entire party. So it's just, you normally have to sit through at least 4 or 5 attacks before being able to do anything.
Also, I think if you were to use the Judgment Staff with the Knight or Thief, it wouldn't, by definition, one-shot everything. Though I'm not sure now that we have the Lordly Robes if that's still the case. Never actually tested that.
It's still quite a.
It might still be
Yeah.
a range. You also
It's
saw
still a range. The white mage and black mage though are just too powerful at this point to do anything but kill them in one hit, which is great.
Yeah. You also saw Elbot just pick up a chest that was the Giant's Glove. We won't be using Giant's Glove much, but what that item does is it casts Saber, and Saber gives a huge attack boost, much like Haste did, which we explained earlier. So we'll be using that on, I think, only the Chaos fight at this point, but it makes the fight itself so much quicker that it's still worth picking up.
Yeah.
Also, you just saw the Water Elementals on Elbot's screen, which is another one of the unrunnable encounters that you see in this dungeon. Most of the Elementals, I think with the exception of the Air Elementals, they're all unrunnable. They're usually
Air
pretty rare.
elementals and... Did we end up being able to
Air
run away from
elementals?
death elementals, or no?
No, not the
I
tornado ones. It's Earth, Water, Fire Elementals too. That's the line.
That's the line. So, Chrono is currently on his way into the
We're about
sunken
a dungeon
shrine.
apart because I did a dungeon more than him. Keep in mind that he still has to do Malt Gulk, and I've already done that.
Mm.
Yeah, so Elbot is on the floor with Kraken. He's about to come up on Kraken himself. Whereas Chrono just started the dungeon, but there is quite a bit Elbot will still have to do after this dungeon, which Chrono doesn't have to do anymore. Basically, when Chrono is done with his dungeon, he can just go for Tiamat, and after
Then that's
that
it.
he can go for Chaos's Shrine. Whereas after Tiamat, Elbot will first have to do Merilith.
And I also saved 30 seconds because of doing that first. In terms of world map movement, I have less back and forth to make.
Hmm.
Which isn't that much, but it's still something to take into consideration. Otherwise, like, I'm not surprised that... I'm still think I'm probably gonna end up behind after everything's said and done, but...
Well,
You,
we'll see
you don't
by
know.
the time
We don't
you
know,
get
because
there.
you could still get bad luck, you know. Until the final dungeon, we won't know, basically.
By the way,
once-
split for
Yep, I did
Kraken
it.
on...
Yep.
Okay, good. So as you can see, even the Kraken is like the third fiend you would normally fight. It's still a one-turn battle. It's pretty easy to kill. Nothing much that can happen. I don't
Yeah.
think he has any moves that can actually kill us in that same turn before we get a chance to kill it.
No, I think he can use Blizzaga, but... Oh no, Blizzara. So, but it's...
Yeah, no,
it's
it doesn't
nothing.
even do any more damage because we have Ribbon now. So we don't worry about anything now that we have Ribbon, basically. It protects from so many things.
Oh, that's always annoying when you get an encounter on the way to the teleport area.
Oh, that's bad.
There's a little area at the back of each of the rooms where the four fiends live, where you just you can, once you beat them, you go onto it, you stand on it, and then teleports you out the dungeon immediately. And it's just because it's in the same room though, there's a chance you'll get an encounter just as much as anywhere else, and it's just so very annoying just to get into an encounter, especially if it's something like Sahagin Prince in Chief. Or something, even though it sounds bad that I'm hoping this happens, but I really want to see someone get Warmech on the way to the escape
Oh my
tile.
god, no, please.
I know that sounds
It's not
terrible,
gonna happen.
but
It's
it
not
would
gonna
be
happen.
so good. Just to
I'm gonna
see
save just in case, because that's actually pretty
Yeah.
dangerous. I'm not gonna run away. I'm actually, if I get Warmech, I'm just gonna reset.
If you get
Since I-
Warmech,
since I
you
have
can,
saved.
you can kill Warmech in one turn. You know that, right?
With what?
With literally just attacks.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's you've got he's got 2,000 health. That's it, and your
But he still
his
has good defense, right?
It's not amazing in this version at all. Plus, I think you did say the other day that if you encountered him, you'd kill him in the relay.
Oh.
So, Elbot, in the meantime, is again in Melmond. He's visited the town a couple of times. This time
is
to
the
give
last
the
time.
Rosetta Stone. Yeah, this is the last time. This time to give the Rosetta Stone to the professor or whatever he is. Because of which he learns Lufenian, which he will need to get the chime in a moment.
And also at this point, my white mage has so much intelligence that Judgment Staff does a ton of damage. A ton.
So now that he's learnt a new language, he's going to walk on my least favourite world map journey, which is the trip to Lufenia. I hate
It's
it personally
bad.
because it just is just so very long and full of encounters. It's also one of the only places where you can get an inescapable encounter on the world map as well.
Yeah, so the reason that you'll often see us take a lake here, this, by the way, the Minotaur Zombie and Troll is one of those inescapable ones. The reason
there.
we take the lake, as you saw Elbot do just now, is to just avoid as many unrunnables as possible. Because on the lake, the encounters aren't unrunnable, but while you're on land, you can get into an unrunnable fight. So that is just a little bit, it's just a very small thing to minimize the risks as much as possible.
Yeah.
And just
Even though
arrived in
it's just a small little detour going through the lake. It takes a tiny bit longer to get through than walking normally, but you can't get any inescapable encounters on that lake, but it's worth it in my opinion for sure. I do it every
Yeah.
time.
So
I do too. I
Elbot
think you
just
get
con-
reduced encounters anyways on lakes.
I don't know. Elbot,
Yeah.
Elbot was just in Lufenia a moment ago, and you may have noticed that he got blocked by an NPC. Which in Lufenia,
You were
is
you're supposed to teleport
very
out.
common.
That's the thing.
He was on the way
Oh,
in.
on the way in? Oh, okay. But on the way out, it's worse. It's worse
Yeah,
on the way out.
normally we would, back in the old route when we didn't have teleport, we had to walk out and there was pretty much always an NPC blocking your way. And you just have to sit there and hope they get out of the way, and sometimes you have to wait for like 3 tiles, which costs 5 to 10 seconds. Because we have teleport, that isn't an issue anymore, but the NPCs in Lufenia are incredibly annoying, because it's only a 1 tile frame you have to... Or it's only 1 tile you have to pass them on.
Right, so we're at a Kraken. Chrono, that's
The second
a
one.
little
And I'm not
faster.
I'm minutes behind for anyone that just came in. I've done the route a bit differently than Elbot has, so
Yeah.
I'm not too behind, I think. I'm only a little bit behind. But yeah, there goes Kraken, pretty easy.
Yeah, so Kraken is done for Chrono now.
Yeah, so now all I got is Tiamat, but Elbot still has Tiamat and Millith to go.
Yeah.
So with the chime that Elbot just got, he can actually go from the Mirage Tower he's in now to the floating castle, which is where we will be finding Tiamat. And this floor, by the way, the second floor of Mirage Tower, is personally one of my least favorite floors because it tends to be full of encounters.
Mhm.
I don't know, it all seems to be my luck, but you can get encounters like every 3 tiles here. Floating Castle itself isn't that bad, it's a pretty short cave in general. So
Yeah.
it usually goes by pretty quickly.
It's just when you get a lot, like Vampire is the Vampire encounters. You'll remember that we fought a Vampire earlier, and that was a boss battle, technically speaking. However, when they're not in that situation, they're escapable like any other encounter. However, they are, unfortunately, just difficult to it. They're another one of those enemies that's just difficult to escape from, unfortunately. So generally, we try and escape, but if we can't escape, then just kill it.
So again, you'll see a spiked tile here, this time with a blue dragon. You'll always see that blue dragon on the way to Floating Castle.
Always one as well, never any more.
Yep.
And now we're in Flying Fortress. Meanwhile,
And-
Chrono is on his way to Lufenia.
Albert, you gotta go up here, by the way. This
I
is-
got
Floating
decent
castle.
luck with Phineas.
Floating
Isn't too
castle
bad.
can be a flying fortress can be a bit of a tricky place to navigate because the floors look very much alike.
Especially the third floor. The third floor, I think.
Yeah.
It's the one that's empty basically, and you just sort of have to.
Yeah, some of like the first floor you have to go up, then on the second floor you have to go down. It can be a little tricky to
Is there
properly
a split for
navigate.
Tiamat or not?
No,
Just chaos then.
just chaos.
Perfect. Okay, that was good NPC. Except I made a mistake.
So,
I
no,
made a
you
mistake.
didn't.
I made the mistake.
So this is a mistake you will sometimes see in this run. Chrono forgot
Oh my
to talk
God.
to the guy in Melmond, and as a result, he did not yet learn Lufenian.
Oh,
So when in Lufenia, nothing really happens. You can't understand what they're saying. And these are just very little things that you have to do throughout the run several times. Just very minor little fetch quests that are easy to forget, and if you forget them, they can cost quite a lot of time.
Basically, however long the walk is,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
and-
like, I fought 4 minutes. 4 minutes.
so it's about 4 minutes. So I guess you could say it's about the length of Mount Galg.
Yeah.
I'm just glad it wasn't the Levy Stone.
Well,
Yes. So one of those little things you could forget is the Levy Stone, which is the crystal we used earlier to get the airship. And I think Warriors had that happen. Yep, you had it happen.
I had that
once.
happen in GBA on a very, very good run. And I was so annoyed.
Yeah, and that just basically means you have to do the worst dungeon, the Cavern of Ice. You have to do that over again, and it is incredibly painful to do.
If it's not in a race, honestly, that's a reset in my opinion. It's just there's no point.
It's not even that bad. It depends on your PB.
Doing Cavern of Ice again is pretty bad though. Like that Cavern of Ice can be fine, but 9 out of 10 times it's gonna be terrible.
Yeah, well, I guess I get the first big mistake, sort of the relay. That was pretty major. But at least I didn't die or anything, so, oh well.
Ooh,
Besides, the
encounter
4-minute
that-
lead
ooh.
isn't that much over the whole relay. And if we exit FF1 with just 4 minutes of difference, I'll be pretty happy.
Yeah.
That's not that bad. It's not that bad at all. But I've actually I've gotten the sub 50 with this mistake before, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
It's like it's a pain, but oh well. I lost like 4 minutes. Oh well. Elbot's probably in Mount Gold by now.
He's just
fighting
facing
Tiamat.
Okay, yeah.
Who, by the way, is
4 minutes.
is actually one of the only bosses in the game vulnerable to Scourge, which is an instant kill for tag. It's not something even worth bothering with in this run, but still a neat piece of information to know.
You kill him so fast, anyways.
Yeah, it's like a 1 in like 4 chance that Scourge hits. So
With the animation and everything, you kill him faster just attacking in this
yeah.
one.
Okay, so the poison attack that Tiamat just used on Elbot, in the past that used to be a much bigger deal than it is now. It's still a pretty big deal, it's still really annoying to get. But the dragon mails that we used to get in the past didn't actually give any protection to it. It gave elemental protection to pretty much everything but poison,
Yeah.
I think.
Which means that Scourge could wipe your entire party on Tiamat too. So you fight him a second time later on.
With Ribbon,
the final
it
dungeon?
doesn't. No, Ribbon
Yeah, no.
doesn't.
But before,
protect
I
all-
have had...
Yeah.
in the race, I had the insta-kill. All 4 of my party members dead, which is amazing.
That was
Yeah, but that
harsh.
that was the instant death version of the attack, and this was just a regular poison gas attack.
Yeah, but that can happen later on. That was a good Lufenian walk, so. Come on, move. Yeah, so basically, all the time it took me to get back to this point is time I've lost compared to Elbad.
I was just about to say, you started to leave manual. I thought, you can teleport.
Yeah. That was nipping RNG.
Yeah. So Elbod has just entered Mount Gold. You saw Chrono do this earlier. However, Elbod has done this at the end. In terms of the dungeons themselves, there's not really much difference between when Chrono did it or when Elbod did it. It's just that Chrono did it at a place where it was... basically, the world map movement in general was a lot faster because of when Chrono did it compared to when Elbod did it. Much less time was spent by Chrono traveling around.
But because of the mistake I made, Elbad is most likely is ahead definitely. I can say he's a good 3 minutes ahead.
Yeah.
3 to 4 minutes ahead.
Yeah. So basically,
But we won't know until we get to the final dungeon. That's when we'll know.
As soon as we reach Chaos Shrine, that's when the two will meet.
Yeah. So once Elbot is done with
I think
he can make
think
way
Elbot picked up haste.
Yes,
remember
if he
he
does
did
he'll-
haste,
he'll get it on the way to Chaos Shrine.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense to do it there.
yeah. Quick, I don't care.
Earthquake.
I don't care because of
Based
ribbons.
Gaia gear, and
I
based
don't
ribbons.
have
Oh,
Gaia
you
gear.
replace Gaia gear, do you?
Because I messed up my menuing. You're supposed to put it in shield to speed up the menuing, but I put it in helmet instead. So
Yeah.
I had to replace it with ribbons. And I put on an extra loadly robe just for defense.
Nice.
You know, playing it a bit safe. So that was a good streak.
Pretty good.
Wireless. Can they insecure ribbon or no?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I think-
No.
They can't anymore.
I don't think they can.
No, they can't. They
Gaze
can't
will
anymore.
kill you. Yeah.
In the past, the gaze attacks from the Pyralisks used to be able to kill us, so even if we would encounter them here, they'd still be a little scary.
Hmm.
But at this point, they can't anymore because we use the ribbons, which protects from that as well.
So,
Elbot
That
just
is-
killed Merilith, which means that Elbot is pretty much back
3
on
to
the
4
route
minutes.
that Chrono is using as well.
3 to 4 minutes. I'm sticking with that.
So about the difference between this, like where Elbot is now, and the moment where Chrono will kill Tiamat, that's roughly where the difference is between the two.
Yeah, honestly, if I hadn't made that mistake, we'd probably be dead even. Or something close to that.
Probably yes.
But even so, over the whole relay, 3 minutes isn't that bad.
it's cool. It happens. It's race luck.
It's happened to me before. It's which it means I shouldn't have done it, but I was just thinking I need to get to Lufenir, and then forgot you need to go to Melmond. You have to go to Melmond 3 times, but
So
sometimes
Elbot
you
is
forget,
just
yeah.
on his way to get haste on. I don't know if he might get it on both the black mage and the ninja. However, he probably just can get away with
The
it
ninja-
being on them.
I don't think it'd be faster, really. Since you want ninja to chance level at some point.
Ah,
Yeah,
it'd
he
be
didn't-
faster
he
for him to
didn't
do a
use
turnaround.
it.
Yeah,
He didn't-
he just went for the first one.
Yeah.
Oops. Okay, that was a bit of a mistake, but at least I didn't do that.
It could have been a
at the end.
worse mistake. Yeah.
At least I didn't
Yeah,
have
so-
exit
so-
and do it at the end of the dungeon.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
So, what he's talking about, during the Old Bosses race, I actually managed to use Exit, which is the upgraded version from Teleport, which basically gets you out instantly, near the end of this cave, because of which I had to do it all over again. like the little menuing mistakes like that can just
can't run away
cost
from
you
this.
5 to 10 minutes right there.
Yeah.
Right, so Elbod is currently at the Chaos Shrine. He's interacting with the orb that we saw at the beginning of the run. We couldn't interact with it. We had no reason to interact with it either. But now we've interacted with it now that all 4 of the crystals are intact again. So we've gone back in time 2,000 years. This is by far the... Well, it's not bad. This dungeon is the end game. This is the last dungeon of the game, and we're going to be fighting we're going to be fighting a handful of bosses throughout this encounter, which are repeat fights of the 4 fiends in more powerful forms.
Okay, so in response to chat, the teleport spell that Bruno used wasn't actually capable of warping him out completely. And this is simply because teleport only ever warps you back 1 floor, so he only warped back 1 floor because of it.
Well, 135 would actually be world record.
Yeah,
Same.
the world record is at 137 for
Right.
console, and a low 138 for emulator.
Yeah, the PSP record is 135 in-game time.
Hmm. Warmac. No, of course not. I'm not gonna get it.
Don't ask for it, jeez.
That would have been cool.
He only comes when you need it the least.
Yeah.
Which is all the time.
Okay, so Chrono is now also at the Tiamat fight. In the meantime, Albot just encountered the Death Eye, which is also on a spiked tile. He's kind of the first boss-like character in Chaos' Shrine. And there's actually a couple of bosses that he'll need to fight. We'll be getting on those in a moment.
Okay, yeah.
But
So
the Death
I'm
Eye is
estimating 3 minutes behind Elbot at this point.
Yeah, it's probably 3 to 4 minutes somewhere.
Which can actually close up in the final dungeon depending on what kind of luck he
Yeah.
gets.
The final dungeon can make quite a big difference, and there have been runs that were like 2 minutes behind PB going into the shrine, and then just still were able to PB through a godlike Chaos Shrine. Chaos Shrine can really wreck you, because there's a lot of it that you cannot run from, or you shouldn't ever run from them because it's too risky.
Yeah, there's even this floor in particular that Elbot is on now. I think there's only one formation that's actually not inescapable.
Oh, he's on Kraken floor?
No, that's
No,
Okay.
no, no.
No,
White,
one
white
F.
dragons.
Oh.
the one with dragon
Good.
zombies and purple worms and white
Yeah.
I'm
dragons.
doing okay.
I think he's like, this is the floor before Lich Floor, I think, off the top of my head.
Yes. it is.
Yeah,
Well,
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, on the next floor, you will see that Elbot will start encountering the earlier 4 fiends again. He'll have to fight them a second time. Again, Lich is a pretty dangerous fight, because earlier the Lich was dangerous because of Blizzara spell. He has Flare, which does a lot of damage, and actually does have a chance of killing your party for the most. I think the White Mage is the only one capable of surviving it, just as far as I remember. I've seen it being used and just White Mage survive it.
Chrono, where are you going?
Yeah,
Where are you?
there we
Where
go.
are you?
There we go. Aren't you, Minette?
Oh yeah, something we forgot to mention when Elbod went through here. This cutscene only happens in the PSP version. It's basically signifying that the hardest dungeon in the game has been unlocked, which is the Labyrinth of Time. There's obviously no text or anything there. It's just an animation that shows, oh, we can go here now. It kind of encourages you to just to find out what that door does. and I do not recommend it.
Actually, on casual playthroughs, I would definitely
casual,
recommend
that's lovely.
trying Labyrinth of Time. Basically, what you gotta do there is a lot. There's about 30 different little puzzles you kind of have to work through at random, 7 to 10 of them, depending on how well you do. And
Bro, if you could link to Dropbox, as people want notes.
I'll do it.
come again?
If you could link the public notes, we're always doing it because people are asking about it.
Can link the notes. Hold on. So I'll be linking those notes in a second in chat. It's
Yeah.
no big deal. But in the labyrinth, you get a set of puzzles like that, and then at the end of it, there is a boss, Chronodia, and depending on on how well you played, depends there what kind of Chronodia you have to fight, and also which you're gonna get. The strongest version of Chronodia will give you the swords that we're actually using throughout this entire run. So for those asking about notes,
Which game's the hardest in this race to learn is probably
This game is the easiest.
not FF1.
I don't know.
FF1 is probably
I'd say it's
the
probably one of the
easiest to run.
PS1 games. One of the PS1 games just because of the length. And some of them are pretty technical. But I mean,
Wow.
it's a
You
question
see,
of
Elbot is
opinion.
getting
Yeah,
trolled
Lich
pretty
has not
badly by
been
Lich
happy.
there.
Lich was not nice to Elbot.
As a side note, by the way, on the links, on the notes that I just posted, these notes use the route that Elbot just used, which is about 30 seconds slower. I still have to update them, but the update should end up on the same link, and you can find it on my profile as well.
No, I think those are the notes where you updated it, except that you inversed. You put class of grade before middle. That's all you did.
Might also be a thing.
Yeah.
I'd have to look into it. I can't remember really.
If they're the ones that I'm using right now, then yeah, it's just class upgrade before Merilith, which is slow. Or then doing it after.
Yeah, Chrono just got to the Death Eye encounter that we mentioned before, the first kind of boss in this run.
Now, the 4 green dragon encounter that he's in now could be particularly dangerous if all 4 of them were to use poison gas. However, luckily that's not the case here, but it tends to do 80 to 90 damage to each member of your party. And that's just not good. Because that's, if all 4 do it, then that's 320 damage, leaving you with, in the 20s, killing off one of your party members for sure.
Yeah, another thing I might have to worry about is my Black Mage damage. Your stats are kind of random, at least your HP is. So my Black Mage is a bit on the lower side, HP wise.
Elbot is just coming up on Merilith again. So this is the Merilith 2 fight. This is also usually the first fight where we'll be casting Haste, just to up that damage from the Thief, or Ninja at this point. The Black Mage isn't doing a whole lot of damage anyway, so we might as well use it. And there you see the 12 hit on Merilith.
Yeah, 2,000 damage, that was enough to kill it. How much health does Merilith 2 have? I think it's 3,000? 4,000, is it?
About 4,000. Its encounter is sort of a pain too, what I'm getting right now. Just long.
So all of these extra fights of the second fights of the Fiends, most of them are pretty straightforward. Just basically hope they don't troll you and fight them. But some of them can be trolly. Especially Tiamat used to be a big deal in the past because of Scourge, but with ribbons that's not an issue anymore. Also, the encounter that Chrono is on, the Ice Gispa's Winter Wolves, is
not.
in a combination, it's not runnable.
Yeah.
the individual enemies, even in other combinations, which I don't think ever happens, but if they were in other combinations, they would be escapable. But it's just the idea of having a Ice Gigas with his pet. That
You can have
tends to
Ice.
me-
I've never seen Ice Gigas alone, but I've seen Winter Wolf alone.
Yeah, Winter
Yeah,
Wolf is
Winterwolf's
easy to run away from.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the game, wolves are kind of a pain, but at the end, they don't. Not a problem.
Yeah, Elbot just came up on the Kraken 2 fight. And Elbot is actually getting pretty close to the end here, because Tiamat and Chaos follow pretty closely after Kraken 2.
Yeah. I mean, he's still about 3-4 minutes ahead of me, which... Yeah. My bad.
Yeah, from here on out, Elbot has to fight Tiamat after this fight. Once he's fought Tiamat, then...
He has to fight Chaos. That's
Yeah.
it.
So, a little bit more information about Chaos. Chaos is the final boss of this run. During the... official timing for this run is from new game up until Chaos is defeated, which is basically after the first flash, when he dies. So that's when this run will be ending. So it'll be in about
5 minutes.
4 or 5 minutes. Yeah, he's on the. I don't know if he's actually hit the Tiamat floor yet.
Yeah, he's fighting Tiamat now.
Yeah,
He
he's
just
now in
engaged
Tiamat
Tiamat.
twice.
So same principle as with the previous bosses, you'll see him cast haste on the ninja, up that damage as much as possible. Because the thief, or the black mage alone would do like 200 to 300 damage, I think. Whereas the doubled up damage from the ninja just ups that to like triple what the black mage would normally do otherwise.
Hmm. Oh, he must have been close to defeating Tiamat in that round. Yeah, that was pretty close. So we're almost on the final boss.
And yeah, he's
Um,
probably gonna win this leg of the race unless he dies to Chaos.
Yeah, Chaos used to be a lot more dangerous than what it is now. With all the route changes,
The route's gotten safer and faster, which is always nice to see.
yeah. As it's not a really big deal anymore. It can still be a very trolly fight, but in general, you should be fine fighting Chaos.
Liquor Sludge too. I mean, the 3-4 minutes still stand.
So here's Garland, the man that we fought at the beginning of the game, saying that we tried to kill him. So he traveled through time and basically created the Four Fiends, and somehow created a paradox. So that means we have to destroy Chaos to prevent the paradox from ever have happened.
Yeah, my
Um,
favorites too.
Chaos is a significant, is very, very significantly different to every other version, or most of the other versions.
So the first thing you see Elbot doing here is use Giant's Tonics. Basically what that does is it ups your base, well not so much your base HP, but it ups your HP for that fight by 200 per use. So this gives, first of all, more hit points, so just more space to take damage if need be. On top of that, it also ups the regen you get from the Lordly Robes that we used earlier. So through the use of Giant's Tonics, you both up how much damage you can take, as well as how much you heal during a turn, making the fight a lot safer to do. And from there on, it's basically buffing up using Haste and Giant's Gloves, and then just start attacking and kill off Chaos as fast as possible.
Right. so now that we're near the end of the Chaos fight, once Chaos is defeated, we'll be passing over to Final Fantasy II.
Yeah, Elbot's gonna be passing over to Slam Dunk, and once I finish, I'll be passing over to Den.
So this Chaos fight, I just want to talk about it a little bit more before the change. Chaos has 20,000 HP, which is 5 times as much as the last boss had. So it just sort of
Yeah, it's definitely a
exploded.
different.
Yeah, it's very much different. It
It's a
used to
different
be
type of fight.
From in the NES version and in Origins, he had 8, I believe it was, off the top of my head.
But now he sort of has a feel of a final boss, you know, you definitely have to prep a bit. You can't just wing it like the other bosses.
Yeah, you have to prepare. Ooh.
Okay, Black Mage go first.
Yeah, it has 2,000 in NES. Yes.
So Elbot at this point is basically at the point where it's just press X to
Yeah,
win.
whole day.
Yeah.
Whole day.
It's just hold the X or the cross button and he just wins the fight. He's just dealing
Yeah, once you're set
about
up, you're set
3k
up.
damage a turn.
Yeah. It's pretty much just hit, win.
So that
And
is
that is
Elbot
Elbot
with Final
done.
Fantasy 1.
GG. GG. We're not too far apart, which is nice to see in FF1, which can be very
Cool.
random.
So yes, London, go.